Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Travel
Wonderful.
Tuesday. My name is Sheila Gallant-Halloran, and I'm with Lush Life, an independent affiliate of Vision Travel and Direct Travel here in Canada. As you guys know, we've done a number of these Travel Tuesdays over the past 19 months now, trying to keep travel alive in the spirit of travel and dreaming. And we've had some great partners from around the world. I am thrilled to have Wayne join us from and beyond in Africa today. He is in South Africa. We had a little bit of a mix up with the time change, of course. Ontario and most of Canada and the US do daylight saving. Well, no, it's the opposite of daylight savings. I guess we're returning to standard time. South Africa doesn't change its time, just like Saskatchewan in Canada and Arizona in the United States. They keep an even keel. So we fell back an hour and Wayne stayed where he was. So by us continuing at 11 a.m., he's now talking to us from South Africa at 6 p.m. Thank you so much, Wayne, for being so flexible to join us today. I have a number of folks who are joining us. Other folks got hung up with the time change. I usually do this 5 p.m. our time, so I am recording. I will send everybody the link, but I'm just so honored to have Wayne join us to share with us all about and beyond. Wayne, if you want to introduce yourself, you're regional touring director, correct?
That's correct. So, firstly, thank you very much, Sheila. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be here. I'm very excited to be able to talk to all of you today. So regional touring director is just sort of a weird title for the person who's responsible for making sure that the promises that we make when we sell something are kept. So I actually primarily run and beyond's reservations, ground handling, and DMC operations across the African continent, 15 different countries. And I'm the lucky person who gets to make sure that we make all of our guests' dreams come true every time they travel with us.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for being so accommodating to stay a bit later and extend your day. I know you're usually traveling all over Africa and beyond. Have you ventured off the continent yet with the pandemic? Have you attended any trade shows?
Not yet. With COVID, not just yet. My first trip to the US and Canada is scheduled for early next year. But we've actually got the vast majority of our sales team. My sales team is currently out on the road. So some of you may know Sean Stradham. Sean is currently in the USA. He landed yesterday in the US. And then also our sales director is scheduled to be into that part of the world relatively soon too. So with travel opening up and people accepting us South Africans, we are ready to explore once again.
Awesome. Well, if anybody wants to say hello, now's your chance. Otherwise, I will turn it over to Wayne. I'm sorry, Wayne Lupen. I didn't say your full name. Please excuse me.
Oh no, it's better that it's. I prefer that you don't. Most people just call me Wayno. So you're welcome to use either.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wayne. Wayne has a PowerPoint presentation, so we'll leave time at the end. We'll try to keep to an hour. Obviously, it's later in the evening to him, and also I have some folks joining from their workday in Canada, so maybe one or two from the States as well. We'll keep to an hour and leave time at the end if you have any questions. If you have anything burning that you really want to ask, you can type it in the chat. Wayne, if you don't mind, I'll interrupt and just share it with you. But otherwise, we'll turn it over to you, kind sir.
Fantastic. Well, actually, I would love to recommend that everybody asks questions when the questions arise. Sometimes they get lost at the end. So if anybody wants to interrupt, you're very welcome to. I'm an operations guy by trade. I was a field guide for many years, a game ranger. So I'm not a salesperson. I tend to ramble a bit. So I've got my watch in front of me, and I'm going to make sure I stick to this time as best as I possibly can. So, I think for those of you who, luckily, we've got a fantastic partnership with Vision Travel and all the affiliates around it. And we are very grateful for the support that we enjoy from all the team members. It really is a pleasure to host every single one of your guests. And now with travel beginning to open up, the world is really beginning to see different kinds of travelers emerging. And from our perspective, we see that we kind of see two different travelers happening in the world. We're interested in all travelers, just for the record. But we do see that there are some travelers who want to see the world, and that's brilliant, and we want them to go and experience it. But more importantly, there are travelers now these days that really want to connect with the world. And for us as a company, we really believe and want to support as many of those people, the second kind, those who want to connect with the world as much as we possibly can. We as a company have been around now for 30 years, and for 30 years, our sole mission has been trying to leave this world a better place through our core principles, which are care of the people, care of the land, and care of the wildlife. Of all the areas that we operate and support in. And many of our guests these days have got a deep found respect and need to connect with the places that they travel to. So our job is to try and facilitate that, is to try and create journeys that last a lifetime, both in memory and in deed. And without question, we are seeing that our travelers after COVID are without a doubt, a more appreciative traveler than they've ever been before. We as a business are doing what makes us feel is the right way forward. For us, leaving the world a better place is our sole mission and purpose. At the heart of this is our ambience guest experience. At the heart of everything we do, our guests are core to what we do. Our core values that we work towards and strive towards are caring for the people in the areas and around the areas that we operate in. Obviously, we are the custodians of the land that we are taking care of. And of course, their inhabitants, the animals, the trees, the plants, the fauna, the flora that go with it. It's a huge responsibility. And ensuring that we allow guests to experience every aspect of that is something that is truly core to us. And knowing that when the chips are down, our purpose is to leave the world a better place with every single step and every single breath that we take. We are from humble beginnings. Just a very quick sort of explanation of our model. We started out in South Africa in 1991, 30 years ago. In South Africa, we purchased a piece of land called Pinaka Private Game Reserve. It was actually only 10,000 hectares of land at that point in time. And that piece of land has now grown to over 30,000 hectares, encompassing more than 30 different mammal species. And you wouldn't believe it, and there's a story I'm going to tell a little bit later, but that little piece of land has changed the world in many ways. It has changed the outcome of species and their extinctions, and it has changed the lives of the people in and around that area. We took our impact model, this wonderful process of caring for the people, land, and wildlife, and we expanded it slowly throughout our 30 years. We now operate in a number of different countries across the world. So I'm not going to mention all of them, but you can see we've got a very, very beautiful footprint in South America, covering Chile, Argentina, Peru, as well as a couple others. In Africa, we operate in most of sub-Saharan Africa. So South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda. We also sell a bit of Madagascar for any of you who have got guests who would want something a little bit different. We do the Seychelles as well as Mauritius. And of course, in Asia, we operate in India, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives too. So it has become an incredibly successful model. What we've realized is that our model can be adapted and played in different parts of the world with equal amounts of success. And more than anything, our job is to connect our guests to the purpose that we believe is going to leave this world a better place. We're very lucky to be an incredible supporter of Virtuoso and the Virtuoso network. You'll see that we are Virtuoso on sites in all the red countries across the map here. But regardless of where you book with us, you will always get the exact same amenities. So if there's Virtuoso amenities in Namibia, Zimbabwe, whatever it might be, all your guests will always have access to those amenities. Our properties that we also own, you will know that many of them are Virtuoso properties too. And of course, because we're an on-site, the DMC services we operate across the entire globe all have a specific set standard that we have to abide by. And we go above and beyond those every single day. One of the things that I think is really useful for you guys to know is that your team, your Virtuoso team that we have is dedicated only to our Virtuoso travel partners. And for you guys to make things as simple and as easy as possible from a booking perspective, you will deal with one person who's able to book all of our countries in Africa. So you won't have to deal with different officers doing different things in Africa. You'll have a different person who will handle South America, and you'll have a different person that handles South Asia too. So it becomes a nice one-stop shop. We actually do combination trips where guests want to link Africa to South America, link Africa to Asia. It is easy enough to do from our perspective, but we do like to make sure that experts handle your guests and give you the expert advice depending on the different regions that you're going to. So we make it as simple as possible and easy to do business with as possible. These are the sort of things that we are probably best known for. We are definitely a tailor-made journeys organization for the most part. More than 95% of everything that we do are tailor-made, specialized itineraries that are created specifically for your guests and specifically for what they're trying to achieve, what they want out of their holiday. What is the dream that they want to see come true? And those guests are able to customize and use our expertise and your expertise to create their trip that they've always dreamed of. We love multi-generational travel. Most of our lodges are incredibly family friendly. And of course, our third-party partners that we operate with are all very, very friendly, family friendly groups. We do an enormous amount of conservation-led, community small group journeys that I'm going to mention too. And of course, we do special occasions. Special occasions are probably some of the things we love the most. To really try and create that magic moment for every single guest is what we live for and strive for every day. And we do some groups travel too. So if you do have any incentive or corporate groups, or perhaps you've got some special interest groups that you have coming through, please don't be scared. I've got an amazing groups team that is able to look and fulfill on all of our different continents as and when you need. Some of the things I think we should just bear in mind after COVID. COVID has become, it is not a hindrance to travel in any way. We've become very used to traveling, to operating over the last 18 months, adapting to the different world that we live in. We've been very lucky in that And Beyond did not lose a single staff member. Every single one of our staff members are fully paid, fully employed, and we've been incredibly lucky that 2,200 odd staff have been supported throughout this entire pandemic without fail. So one of the most amazing positives of that is there's this element of COVID rust that has happened in some parts of the industry. Our teams have been operating all the time. When we didn't have guests, we were training. When we were in training, we were making sure that our lodges looked as perfect as they possibly could be so that when our guests came back. And that means that our guests' ratings and our guest experience has been absolutely out of this world. More than 97% of our guests are saying that And Beyond is going way above and beyond the standards that they ever possibly expected from their trip. A few other things that we've put in place, not to dwell too much on COVID-19, but the reality is there are certain uncertainties in the world. So we've put together some amazingly good flexible cancellation policies across our lodges. And we also, as our DMC, have negotiated with many of our partner properties to do the same for your guests. So when you book with us, we go and make sure that they have the most flexible terms that we can possibly get. Sometimes as flexible like ours, up to 48 hours prior to travel, are even allowing refundable deposits. And that just allows guests that peace of mind that when they book their travel with us, if something unforeseen happens, they're able to go and they're able to get the peace of mind and get some money back if they needed to. We've also got our safety protocols that are in place. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there, but what I can assure you is that we are working as fast as we possibly can to get all of our staff members vaccinated. We are doing incredibly well on this front. Almost 80% of our staff across the globe are now vaccinated. In the areas where they're not vaccinated, it's because vaccines supplies are not easily or readily available, and we're waiting for them to be able to get their turn. And then very lastly, we've got our global concierge service. Now, our global concierge service is it's a two-part service. Firstly, it is for our agents. It is a 24-hour a day, 5-day-a-week call line, basically, that you can call any of our team members or go onto our website, log onto our live chat and have any questions answered. You can even start a booking if you wanted to on your time zone as needed. Anything from as simple as asking what COVID-19 requirements or travel requirements are there to go to a specific country, or holding space at one of our lodges or partner properties lodge, is all possible using our concierge service. So this is dedicated from a sales side of things to try and help make life a little bit easier for you on your time zone. And secondly, it is a concierge to your guests while they're traveling. They literally are there to hold our guests' hand during these times where guests perhaps feel a little bit less certain about travel than what they used to. It's a constant WhatsApp group manned by our humans, our people. It's not a chat bot or anything silly like that. It's a real human that everybody's speaking to all the time, that are available to help as needed and to make sure that guests are secure, safe, and ready to go on to their next step, whether it be something as simple as checking them in for their flight, securing their seats for them, or something as complicated as posting some of their shopping home because they've run out of luggage space as a result of buying a little bit too much wine in the winelands at Cape Town. Anything you can imagine, our global concierge service is there to try and make it a reality. So we got some wonderful small group journeys that I was speaking about earlier. And our small group journeys are designed to celebrate some of the most amazing conservation initiatives that we are lucky to be part of. The first one we've created is called Africa's Greatest Marine Migration. It is in collaboration with Oceans Without Borders. And Oceans Without Borders is one of our charity initiatives that we've created and partnered with a number of different oceanic wildlife research funds, as well as non-governmental organizations, to help promote the welfare of our oceans across the globe. We as a business are custodians of more than 2,000 kilometers of African coastline that we seek to conserve and work with partners to hopefully make a real difference on. Now, this journey is a very simple journey. It's a 10-day journey, and it literally follows the Sardine Migration up the southern coast of South Africa. Now, the Sardine Migration is literally one of the largest migrations of Earth. Hundreds of millions of sardines move from the warm waters, or colder waters, should I say, south of East London, up the coast through past Durban, up into Mozambique, and they are followed by an enormous amount of predators, whether it be seals, sharks, or anything in between. We allow our guests the ability to snorkel or dive with this incredible migration, and watch them as they are constantly under attack from amazing predatory animals within the oceans themselves. Typical species that guests will expect to see along the way would be seals, whales, sharks, a number of predatory game species like sailfish or marlin, all within arm's length of the ocean surface, which is really amazing, amazing, amazing. The trip ends at Pinaka Private Game Reserve on the northern coast of South Africa. And Pinaka Private Game Reserve is a fantastic big 5 game viewing area. It's the same reserve that I mentioned earlier that started this whole story of ours 30 years ago, and which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about now. It's a wonderful trip. It's incredibly affordable, given what it is. A lot of people would say that it's not specifically for the diver, okay? But obviously your divers are going to enjoy this trip, but it really could be for anybody to participate with. Our second one is called Return of the Lion. Now, for some of you, you might know Rwanda.
Are you still there? Wayne, are you still there? Okay, folks, I'm not sure. Maybe he's frozen. He did tell me that if you've been to South Africa, you might be aware that they have rolling blackouts to conserve power. And he said they were unexpectedly having something today. So he said if there are any issues, to please hang with him. He has a backup plan and he'll come on as soon as he possibly can. Wayne, are you back?
My apologies. Have you?
That's okay. I was just explaining the rolling blackouts. Thank you so much. Make sure I got. If you
no
can
problem.
Are you able to do your share screen again?
Absolutely. My apologies, everybody. It's the joys of living in Africa. I would never change it for anything, that's for sure. But it has its small challenges at times. Let me know when you can see my screen, Sheila.
Yes, can see it again. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay.
Are you on generator now?
No, now we're on mains power. So
it flipped back. Okay.
Exactly. The generators come off and now we're back on mains power. Thank goodness.
Thank you.
Where did you lose me? Did you manage to see me get to the slide?
Yes, we saw the beginning of this. You were only gone about a minute.
Fantastic. Okay. So this trip is another beautiful small groups journey trip that is called the Return of the Lion. Now, some of you might know Rwanda as a destination quite well. And if you do, there's an amazing national park called Akagera National Park. And up until 5 years ago, Akagera National Park had no lions in it. In fact, most of Rwanda had no lions at all within it. We partnered with an amazing charity called Africa Parks. And what we have done is we moved 5 of our lions from Pinda to Akagera National Park, a full pride, to Akagera National Park to reverse a local extinction that happened many, many, many decades ago. Now, this trip is to celebrate that experience. It is actually a trip behind the scenes to know and to go through with the people who actually did it, what it means to relocate lions from one country to another. So the trip is an amazing trip. It starts off at Pinda Private Game Reserve down in the southern section of South Africa. You'll have access to our incredible ecologists, a gentleman by the name of Simon Naylor. Simon Naylor has been responsible he has helped relocate more than 100 rhinos to Botswana, as well as 8 cheetah to Mozambique, and a variety of other species across the globe, including Indian buffalo in Indian national parks. He's been asked to consult in South America in their national parks, and is really just the most unbelievable expert in his field. He will tell you a bit about what it takes to catch a lion. It is a little bit, it is rather tricky, as you can imagine. They've got some nice sharp teeth and some pointy claws that you need to make sure you stay away from. And he will tell you exactly how it was that they flew them all the way to Akagera National Park. Your stay is 4 days at Pinda Private Game Reserve, where you get unrestricted access to our ecologists, obviously fantastic game viewing, and then we fly you all the way through to Rwanda to go to Akagera itself in search of the lions that we have actually helped reintroduce back into the park. Now, 5 years ago, there were 5 lions. We're very happy to say that now there are more than 50 lions, all of them coming from our prides that have come from South Africa. It's an incredible success story of reversing a localized extinction in an area through amazing collaboration of like-minded conservation initiatives. So we really, really, really love this trip. I hope if you have anybody who wants a truly unique experience, this is one that you can do. And of course, because we're in Rwanda, it's very easy to add on a gorilla experience at the end of the trip, or even a Cape Town experience before the trip starts. It makes it a really beautiful itinerary as a whole. And we've got limited editions, a 30-year special, where we say, come and celebrate with a free night on us at selected lodges of ours, which is a fantastic just a little joy, a bit of a give back to us, to our guests who've supported us over the years, and to our agents, to make sure that they know that we really appreciate the difference that they've made every single time they travel with us. So that's a little bit about what's happening with us currently. I know that many of you know us as a lodge provider, and some of you don't necessarily know us always as a DMC. We are on-site DMC operators in East Africa as well as in South Africa. So for Kenya and Tanzania, we're on sites for Virtuoso, and in South Africa too. This is the Masai Mara, as you can see, that iconic, spectacular open game range with the Olololo escarpment in the background here. As a DMC operator, we're very privileged. We're able to connect seamlessly a variety of different destinations within our portfolio. Most of our guests these days will do at least two countries within an itinerary with us. In the past, a lot of guests spent a lot of time in one country, and we still do that a lot too. We love those guests who want to spend more time at less stops. But there are more guests, unfortunately, who've got less time and want to see as much as they can in the short, limited time that they have. So frequently, we are doing trips between Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, or Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania. And sometimes guests are doing 3 countries at a time, linking the gorillas to the migration into northern Kenya, and sometimes also to Zanzibar and the islands or thereafter. What's really lovely about us, as I said, because you're working with one person to book and coordinate all of these experiences together, you really have very, very, very simple lines of communication. One person is responsible for making sure that your guests have got the perfectly tailor-made seamless trip all the way through. And that means everything from selling third-party properties. We don't just sell our own properties, just so you guys know. We actually, as an example, we are one of Singita's top 3 biggest producers of bed nights to them worldwide. We have more than 2,000 different partner properties that we work with across the globe, and of which 1,400 of those are in Africa alone. So we have an enormous product shelf of 4- and 5-star properties that hopefully will get tailored to most people's budget. We obviously love to sell value. The biggest thing for us is making sure that you give your guests the right product, because the last thing you want is them to go have this wonderful expectation of an experience of a lifetime, and then you don't get it. Our product selection is incredibly thorough, and we make sure that everything that you can possibly have or want to experience is available to experience too. So this is the East Africa map footprint. We do have our own lodges in these areas. So you've got Battlier Camp, you've got Clients Camp, Ngorongoro Crater, Lake Bunyara, Grameti, Kitchwethemba, and we've also got a mobile camp that roams the Serengeti following the migration, as well as our beautiful little private island off the coast of Zanzibar called Nemba Island. I mean, as a DMC, we've spoken about it. We don't just book our own lodges. If you want to do a Kilimanjaro climb, you want to do walking safaris, a beach getaway, or whether it be something as simple as seeing the migration, it is something that we specialize in across the world. We love integrating culture and different unique things into every guest's itinerary. Every guest, we believe, should experience all aspects of a country, whether it's wildlife, it's people, it's hospitality, it's food, it's wine. Everything that they can touch, taste, see, experience, learn about is something that we love to incorporate into every itinerary wherever they go. We like to think of ourselves as trying to include the experiences they didn't know they wanted, but would never dream of not having once they've seen or experienced them. We want to give more than just what they expect. We want to go beyond the expected to find ways of making their lives different and change them every day. We have Refurbished Vaccination camp, which is our camp in the Masai Mara. These are just some few images that I want to quickly run through with you, just to give you a lovely feel for the furnishings that we put into the camp. We've got this spectacular solarium-style bathtub, so you can have a bathtub under the stars, but in perfect safety. And of course, these beautiful out of Africa feature furnishings as we go. Lovely camp experiences, whether it be sundowners with the Maasai on the escarpments, or night drives in our private concession, or of course, a walk with the Maasai in the Masai Mara. Very few experiences on there that you can't hope to dream for as a guest. And of course, our trademark hospitality for those guests who are feeling a little bit more adventurous, or should I say, wanting to exercise, to burn off some of that food that we love putting in everybody's belly. We've got gyms and of course, wellness center too. We've got an amazing Wild Child program. I mentioned earlier, we love multi-generation travel, and our kids are truly our ambassadors for the future. Our Wild Child program is not just a keep them busy program. It is an educational program that hopefully creates conservation ambassadors when they go home. Hopefully they go home and tell their friends how they didn't just see a lion, but they experienced what it means to live in Africa, to understand its people and to understand the wildlife that lives there. And with any luck, bring their kids back over and over and over again. Some other products that we've...
Sorry, yes. Wayne, a quick question. Do you teach conservation to the kids in your Wild Child program? Like, is that emphasized? Yeah.
It is very much emphasized. Everything we do is try to show the children in general. Obviously, it is age group related. Okay, so, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, the messaging is a lot different to a 12 or 13-year-old, where you can display and encourage a lot more different types of information. But what we try and do is give them an endearing understanding of what it means to be in nature and to respect it at its core. And with any luck, when they go home with not just having seen something, but learned about that something. In our communities themselves, we actually do something called conservation lessons for our communities' children to learn about conservation for 2 reasons. One, our communities are our biggest proponents and our biggest supporters. They are the people who are literally our frontline defense against those parties who seek to hurt or harm conservation areas around the world. They are our future. They are the people, our future custodians of those wild areas. So we want to impart as much knowledge as we can with them, and the hope that they will one day be guardians of those very areas that they grew up in, and know that there is enormous amounts of value that is created through conservation and ecotourism in Clyde too. So those lessons, depending on your children and depending on the kids, if a family says to us, listen, we really want our kids to learn and understand, we will brief all the different parties, all the different properties in the itinerary, and we'll say, this is what a guest is looking to get out of it. This is what their kids are hoping to go home with. How do we make sure that we can make that happen for them? And then through our guides, through our management staff, through our hospitality staff, they start creating and knitting those experiences all together. Does that answer the question?
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I love sustainability, and as you know, and I just love to see that emphasized across all generations. Anybody, you get them when they're young.
I've got some stats for you, Sheila. I know you like them, so I've got some stats at the end of this. Hopefully, I'm going to try get there, so
awesome.
We can just quickly put them up on the screen for you. So I'm going to rush through this, guys, because this is pretty pictures of pretty lodges, and I know you guys love pretty pictures of pretty lodges. But everything you're going to see here is just spectacular, okay? This is the brand new Grameti River Lodge, okay? Some of you may have heard that unfortunately during COVID-19, our lodge actually washed away in the floods. So we've been busily rebuilding it from scratch. We've spent more than $7.5 million on it. And this is what it's going to look like at the end of it, once it's all finished and done. Scheduled to open June next year. This is the main guest area. Just in front of the main guest area down here is a beautiful river, the Grameti River. We've got beautiful fireplaces, as you can see, very open style, trying to bring nature and the environment into a luxurious look and feel of a lodge. That gives you a feel of the sort of floor to ceiling heights and how we're trying to incorporate the African bush into a spectacular architecturally designed lodge at every step of the way with views from everywhere, whether it be one of the most picturesque bars that you're going to find anywhere or a spectacular boma. And of course, we can't have an ugly room, can we? We need to have something that is really, truly spectacular, something that a guest says, I want to cuddle up in, and I can't wait to experience. So this has got a beautiful open plan bedroom, bathroom. What is lovely about the rooms, though, is that they're designed that you can close the bathroom off from the bedroom too. So if you have got children who are sharing, they can have the privacy they want. Or if you have honeymooners who want a little less privacy from each other, they can have as much of that as they want to. So really spectacular rooms, beautiful plunge pools. This will actually be one of the only, this will be the only lodge inside the Serengeti National Park that has its own plunge pools attached to a suite and beautiful riverside views from every single room. So really, really spectacular guests as soon as it's finished. We've also refurbished Lake Manyara Tree Lodge, the Ngorongoro Crater, as well as Nemba during this time. We used the time as wisely as we can while we had, unfortunately, lower occupancies of guests during COVID-19. We used the opportunity to make sure that our lodges were refreshed and were perfect by the time travel has started, and it has now started in earnest. And of course, we've got our mobile tented camp, which we've pretty much spruced up from beginning to end. Beautiful tents that follow the migration around all year round, always making sure that you're within touching distance of seeing those amazing wildebeest and their endless journey around the Serengeti National Park and the Masai Mara. And of course, Kitra Tembo, it's a little bit older now. It's now 5 years on since its refurb, but that's just a little image of what it looks like. In Southern Africa, a huge destination all on its own. Now, I've separated them out here, okay, just because most guests will usually go to either Southern Africa or East Africa. But with today's logistics team, you can actually do an East and Southern Africa combined itinerary. There's amazing flights that connect Kenya all the way down to Cape Town. Kenya Airways does a flight that starts in Nairobi, stops at Victoria Falls, goes to Cape Town, and then goes back on the exact same trip. Meaning that if you wanted to see the migration for 4 days, see the Victoria Falls shortly thereafter, and then have a beautiful winelands experience, you could actually do that if you wanted to. In fact, many of our guests do. A lot of our guests will also link the gorillas to Southern Africa these days. There's amazing direct flights into Kigali, as well as into Entebbe, and from South Africa itself. So you could do something as intricate, if you wanted to, as Cape Town Winelands, see the Okavango Delta, do a wonderful overnight in Johannesburg with potentially with a apartheid tour, apartheid experience, and then go up to Rwanda, have a spectacular experience looking at the maybe the Rwandan genocide for people who are interested in the historical aspect of Rwanda, and of course ended off with the gorillas. The options are limitless at this point in Africa. And again, luckily, because you're dealing with one person who's an expert in all of this, they're able to help you tailor make and cater these itineraries as and when you need them. But again, most people are doing Southern Africa. And Southern Africa, a lot of combining multiple countries. Generally speaking, you see a lot of people Zimbabwe experience. There's lots of different combinations that you can tailor it into. I mean, the big destinations within Southern Africa you can go into. I mean, obviously you've got the amazing Benguela archipelago, or sorry, Bazarita archipelago, should I say. You've got amazing destination in Namibia, which is really on the rise. It's been one of the most outstanding destinations over the last 5 years, and really, really easy to get to. And of course, South Africa's diversity of experience is just unparalleled. We're a DMC operator at all of these places. As I've said before, we sell numerous amounts of different properties. Obviously, we've got our own properties, but we sell a lot of third-party properties and partner properties in these areas. So linking everything that you can possibly see and everything I've discussed in the past, whether it be the Delta, Vic Falls, the winelands, or the beautiful beaches of Mozambique, everything is possible in a beautiful 10-day itinerary. And this is just a good example of some of the connectivity that you can reach in Southern Africa, just with SA Airlink. This is just with one airline operator. This doesn't mean if you have to overlay. Yeah, absolutely. If you had to overlay this with British Airways, with Mango Air, with Kalula.com, with Kenya Airways, you'll see it's an incredible, also with Ethiopian Air, you can see an incredible spider web of logistics and connectivity that allows us to create some really spectacular itineraries that people who don't operate in the countries that do wouldn't. So a lot of operators, they only do Botswana, or they do Botswana and South Africa, and that limits them. Not that they're bad, they're fantastic operators. They just don't have the length and breadth of operations, offices, and people in the different countries that we do. that allows this amazing set of creativity that you can seek to use to your advantage and to find ways of selling a destination in a very comprehensive way.
And Wayne, if I
again,
might
just some quick,
interject
yes.
Quickly for my clients who don't know, DMC is a term that the industry uses. It means Destination Management Company. So it's my feet on the ground experts. And as Wayne has shown, we can do everything from transfers to helicopter rides to safaris. It's putting everything together.
Correct. You know, our job, the way we see it, is from the moment your guests leave home to the moment they get home, we are the people that are going to help you make sure that everything is seamless and handled on the ground. Whether it be, as we've said, things as simple as helicopters and flights and transfers, or something more complex, like perhaps getting, a lot of our guests like to speak to Zelda Lachransi, who was Nelson Mandela's PA for many, many years. We can arrange for her to have dinner with your guests to get an insight into who Nelson Mandela was, how did he work, what made him unique, whatever it might be. These are the types of things, depending what really motivates your guests. We can be as creative and as ingenuitive as you want us to be. All of these things are absolutely possible. We can organize private dinners on Robben Island, as an example. You can do, it's unlimited, okay? The creativity and aspects in our team is always there. It's just about understanding what your guests want, what's going to make them really spectacular.
And if my clients are like, if they have particular interest, we can coordinate with you and build an itinerary that suits, right? Like if someone is an avid bird watcher, or someone is really into hiking or really into wine, we can customize things that really play into their interests.
With specialist guides all along the way with it. So a lot of the special interests are only as valuable as the guide that you use to really make that interest come alive. So if you had to go, as an example, we partner with Swarovski, we do all of Swarovski's big birding itineraries across the globe for them, because we have the best birding guides across the globe. We have unbelievable specialist wine and art culture guides that just do wine, art, and culture in the areas that they operate in. Anything that you want, anything that you need, if we don't have it, we'll tell you, look, we don't have this, but we'll source it for you. But chances are 99% of what you're going to ask for, we've either done before, are doing already, or will be able to do in the future. So you just need to talk to us and you say, listen, these guests are, I'm just making something up. These guests are specialist divers who have got an unbelievable affinity for wine and they want to see a bit of everything. We can work with that, as simple and as brief, as bold a description as that. We can tailor make something around you. Not just the guide, but also what is the right property for them. If they're birders or any type of a specialist in type, you want to give them as many diverse array of experiences as possible. So for a birder, you want to give them as many habitats as you can possibly do, so you can see the widest variety of birds in one trip. If they're food and wine foodies, you want to expose them to as many different cultural dishes, as well as the more contemporary refined dishes, and the fusion between cultural and artistic, or contemporary, should I say. It is all about trying to find that mixture, that secret ingredient, that magic that makes the itinerary speak to them, that really buzzes for them.
Perfect, thank you.
Pleasure. So again, I'm going to rush through these a little bit, okay, because these are some of our refurbishments and rebuilds, and we are beginning to, I've rambled again, as usual, I'm beginning to run out of time. So this is Sossusvlei Desert Lodge. This is one of our lodges in Namibia. It has been completely rebuilt from beginning to end. It's inspired by the African night sky. It is in Sossusvlei, which is a dark sky reserve, meaning that there's no light pollution. In fact, planes are not even allowed to fly over the area of any type at night in any way, just to ensure that there's no pollution whatsoever. Again, you'll see our design of our lodges really tries to invite the natural environment in. We want our guests to feel that they've got all the creature comforts of the indoors, but feel like they are able to explore and have nature be with them whenever they want. These are the rooms, again, really trying to explore the beauty around it and some of the amazing experiences, whether it be helicopters, e-bikes, hot air ballooning, all of it is available in this beautiful area. From a sustainability perspective, everything we do is built with sustainability in mind. Even the pools and the pool design to conserve water has been taken into account in every single aspect. In fact, we make more usable water in our lodge than what we use at the moment, which is quite an incredible thing. Another good example is we bottle all of our own water, purified bottled water everywhere we go. We don't have any plastic bottles anywhere we go in any of our lodges. We're trying to get our plastic usage down to zero as soon as we possibly can. One thing, and I was just there, I was actually there this last week, Sheila, when you said to me, should we do this week or should we do the next week? This is where I was when I said to you, I couldn't do last week. So this is Ngala Treehouse. Okay, Ngala Treehouse is, without question, one of the most exciting things I have seen and done for a long time. And I tell you, I have been doing this for a long time. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years. And this was one of the most quintessential back to the bush experiences I've had in a long time. But with all the creature comforts that anybody would want to need, that you don't feel scared or worried. Okay, so this is a night out in the African bush. And when I say a night out, I mean alone. You on your own, none of our staff, there on your own with everything you need to be safe. So you can call us if you get worried or scared. You've got an indoor room, you've got the most beautiful setting you can possibly imagine, and you are alone in the bush with just the night sounds and the experience of waking up in wildest Africa all on your own. It is very cultured, okay, just so you know. This is your little kitchenette, a breakfast area. As you can see outside the window here is your beautiful boma, typical old school. This is how it was done in the old days, where you would set up a boma, a protective fencing around to ward off the big creatures. Now, we don't just have wooden, just so you guys know, we don't just have wooden stakes around. We do have a little elephant wire too to make sure the elephants don't come in. But besides the elephants, anything can come in and out. Hyenas, lions, whatever it might be, they're going to be around. Okay, they're going to be in the area. Luckily, all of this is indoors. You can close yourself in. You got your stairs that lead up to your bathroom on the second floor. Beautiful shower. I mean, look at that. You're showering literally in the canopy of the trees. It can't get any more amazing than that. You go up to the next floor. This is where your bedroom is. As you can see, completely hermetically sealed. Okay, nothing can get in and out. You can lock yourself in. You'll be 100% safe. And this is 3 stories up. It's going to take a lot for anything to come up here to get you and still get in the room and still get inside, all that type of good. So completely safe. And then last of it, the piece de resistance, the place where I spent my night. In fact, I slept on top of the bed out in the open underneath the sky. Wouldn't recommend it on a rainy night, obviously, but on the clear night that I had, this is truly unbelievable. This is the top deck. It is a day bed where you can literally go watch the sun go down, listen to the bush come alive at night with all the African stars, with a glass of champagne, spectacular setting. And if you wanted to, we can set the bed up here too for the more adventurous out there. Now, this framing here becomes a mosquito net, effectively concealing you in so you can keep the bugs out, but you sleep in wildest Africa and you wake up to one of the best sunrises that you can find anywhere. So really quite spectacular.
I'm jealous. That's where you were last week.
That's where I was last week. It's a tough life I've got, guys. It's terrible. I suffer daily. It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, I can tell.
Pinda Mountain, we've had a soft refurb. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Pinda Mountain. The entire interiors have all been redone. It's a spectacular lodge. Game viewing is unbelievable, and really has always been one of the stalwarts of our portfolio. From an impact perspective, Sheila, this is the stuff that I thought you would like. Our goal is to leave the world a better place, is to find ways of ensuring that our footprint is not a negative one, that it is a positive one, that we make a real difference to the people around us, the land around us, and the animals that call it home. So from a care of the land perspective, we have 0 plastic straws anywhere in our business. From a sustainability perspective, from a carbon perspective, 88% of our group is close as we can get it to being carbon neutral. We are now trying to get to that carbon neutral number before the end of 2030, and finding ways of doing that is amazingly exciting. We also have more than all of our lodges have got on-site their own bottling plants for water. We reuse and recycle our own water, beautiful still water everywhere we go. And of course, we have now eliminated plastic bottles across all of our group operations, wherever we operate. So you'll only find glass bottles wherever you go. From a care of the land perspective, just in the last year, this is just in the last couple of years, guys, like we really are, we've relocated 8 cheetah, into the EWT meta population sites to support genetic diversity across the board. The Environmental Wildlife Trust, that's what EWT stands for, operates a number of cheetah areas across the globe. Now, these are not sanctuaries, these are wildlife reserves, these are real wildlife areas like the Kruger National Park, Madikwe, the Transfrontier Park in Mozambique. And in order to ensure that the genetic diversity of cheetah is maintained, you have to constantly keep swapping the genetics because there's so few of these animals left in the world. We have to combat inbreeding as much as we can. We moved 62 rhinos to Botswana in 2018 and 2019. We also reintroduced pangolins back into Pinda, which were extinct in Pinda up until just a year ago. And since then, we've had our first baby pangolin born in the reserve, meaning that the population has not only been introduced, but is also breeding. And that is a key indicator that they're doing incredibly well. We've also invested $500,000 in the Lionsgate Coalition, which I'm going to talk to in a moment. We've done, do you remember I talked about the conservation lessons, Sheila, with the communities? We've done more than 16,000 conservation lessons with our communities' children across the African continent, helping create that next level, that next ambassador for our, what we hope will be an everlasting conservation initiative. And we've contributed more than $1.2 million to the Pinda Protection and Munyawanda Conservancy area in and around Pinda, enlarging the area, monitoring its anti-poaching, and of course, protecting its amazing rhinos. This is our pangolins. For those of you who don't know what a pangolin is, it's a scaly anteater. And this was our reintroduction of the first one. We have now, I think, we've now got more than 12 of them on the reserve. We do monitor them through scientific research to document how well they're doing and if they're reproducing, which, as you know, I've just said they are. So a really exciting experience. The Lionsgate Coalition is actually a coalition of some of the world's biggest conservation companies. So ourselves, Singita, the Ultimate Safaris, as well as Wilderness, are the founding members of the Lionsgate Coalition, and it is dedicated to empower the ability to conserve and promote lion conservation across the world. Many people don't know this, but lions are some of the most endangered predators there are out there. Their size and, of course, their power means that there are very few national parks or very few wild areas that can support them without there being human conflict. And so we are trying to increase their home range, increase their genetic diversity, and invest in education to show the people of Africa why lions are such an incredible keystone species and how important they are. We also have done Oceans Without Borders. Oceans Without Borders, earlier I said to you, is 2,000 kilometers of Africa's coastline that we help support and conserve. It runs all the way from South Africa, all the way up through to the northern section of Tanzania and southern Kenya. We have a number of critical unique reef species. And in this instance, again, it's a very similar aspect to our care of the people, land, and wildlife aspects. We have to protect the reefs. We have to educate communities about fishing practices and overfishing, and of course, protecting key marine species, cornerstone species, to ensure that their survival and the overall ecosystem health is sustained throughout the African continent and across the globe. For our people, during COVID especially, we have been incredibly active. This has been probably the most important job that we've done during the COVID-19, with ecotourism unfortunately taking a large decline for a number of months. We have supported 73 rural communities throughout this time, ensuring that they have got jobs, that they are fed, that they're still getting education and medical services. We have created a number of different educational relief funds. CLEFT is the Community Leaders Education Fund, which we're part of, and have awarded bursaries throughout this time, throughout COVID-19, ensuring that our kids and the community's education has never stopped. Every single one of our communities had numerous 321 bursaries given out to them to ensure that the university and higher learning education continues. We've had 2,479 training interventions across our group. This is where we train the community, whether it be through small business training, local shambas, how to create farms, educate, like anything along those lines to help promote small business development. We've created 73 job creations in a time when nobody was employing people. We managed to find ways to get 73 people funded and employed through the Alan Gray Orbis Fund. We've had 587 stars in training. This is when we take people from the community, we bring them into our lodges, we train them, and eventually employ them as part of what we do on an ongoing basis to continue our employment. And of course, we have helped support 56 businesses in 2020 across the African continent, keeping them going, making sure that they are there at the end of this thing, all the way through.
That's amazing, amazing.
Some of the things I left out there, we also raised just over $5 million in aid for food packages, food parcels, and hunger relief in different areas of Africa. And in total, I forget the exact number now, so I'm going to be lying, but it is thousands of people have been supported during this time economically when there was no income in many parts of Africa and kept them going. So, we're very proud of everything we've done. We're very proud to be partnered with people like yourselves, like-minded, passionate individuals who, without you guys, we will never be able to do everything that we can do. You are as important a cog in our machine as anything. Remember, the guest, which is who you recommend recommend to travel with us, is at the heart of everything that we do. Without them, without you, we can't leave this world a better place. So I want to thank you very much for your time this evening, today, for you guys. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Anything about real travel, about real experiences, you just let me know, and we can.
Thank you, Wayne. I know you were really rushing there to get through it. I really appreciate it. We've had a number of folks have to drop off, but we still have a number of folks still on here. If anyone has questions, we have Wayne here live from Cape Town, so he's the man to ask here. I will just, not sure why my view is like that. Do the gallery. So Wayne, the one thing I loved, and then I'll turn it over if others have questions. I love the fact that you have done so much with regenerative travel, really, even before travel started again, because one of the things I share with my clients is that travel and tourism is 1 in 10 jobs worldwide. So travel and tourism sector was hit first by the pandemic, was hit the hardest, and will be the last to recover fully. And it's not just people like me and people like Wayne that are impacted. It's all the cruise lines and airlines and hotels, but it's also all the industry people and all the small little villages and all these communities in Africa that rely on tourists or build crafts or prepare meals. It's such a huge supply chain that's been totally devastated. So the fact that you have done all of that work to support the communities is just tremendous. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's our greatest of pleasure. It is what we are here to do. Travel is our job, and purpose is what we are here to do. So thank you very much. Again, we can't do this without you guys. And what I am happy to say is that Africa has bounced back incredibly well. We are very lucky that we are now 90% of pre-COVID revenue and inquiries. Okay, so we're seeing that Africa is in huge demand. People want to reconnect with open spaces. They want to be in the world's wild places again. So I hope that each and every single one of you will think of Africa the next time you get somebody walk in their door and they say, "Take me somewhere amazing," because we can't wait to have them.
And do you know the percentage? Like, are you seeing many Canadians come right now, or Americans? Do you know who you're?
Americans for sure, yes. Canadians not just yet. Obviously, the Canadian travel restrictions were far more stringent than the US travel restrictions at first. So Canadians are coming now. We are seeing them in good numbers. Americans are right now by far the biggest travelers into Africa. They were the ones who were able to start traveling first. We're also seeing amazing guest numbers from Mexico, mainland Europe, and now that the UK has also dropped its red list, a lot of United Kingdom guests are coming through to Africa too. It's really only Australia and New Zealand who are. New Zealand.
Canada was stringent, and Australia, New Zealand is another camp again. But hopefully we'll get the whole world moving again. Does anyone have any questions for Wayne while he's here? Well, I'll ask you another question, Wayne. You mentioned Rwanda. Do you guys do Uganda as well, or is it mostly Rwanda?
Yes, we do Uganda and Rwanda. Yeah, we tend to sell equal amounts of both. It really depends on the guest. A guest will typically Rwanda is suited for a specific type of guest. Those guests who are looking for the quality of property specifically in Rwanda are a higher level. So you've got players like Wilderness Basati, which is a spectacular lodge, Singita Kutanda, which is an unbelievable lodge, the one and only Gorilla's Nest, and Nungwe House, also really, really spectacular, high-end, beautiful properties themselves. Uganda, it tends to be a little bit more adventurous, rustic, still spectacular lodges in those parts of the world, with volcanoes, the volcano properties being the best ones, and of course Sanctuary is also in that part of the world too, and also a very, very good property there. The hiking is a different experience. Hiking in Uganda is a more difficult hike. It's more more up and down, far more steep up and down. So typically for our more mature travelers, we usually recommend that Rwanda. It's not just to be clear, it's not a walk in the park. It's not an easy walk. It's still, they're in the mountains, but it does tend to be slightly easier than the Uganda treks. So depending on the guest, depending on what they're looking for, and also what else they're trying to do, we will recommend one or two of the destinations.
And
Uganda is more affordable.
Uganda is, yeah.
Uganda is more affordable than Rwanda is. So for those who are more price conscious, Uganda is a better bet. For Canadians, visas wise, it's equally easy to get visas for both countries. Both of them are on the e-visa program, which you can apply for before travel. They're about $80. If you guys use Sherpa, or if you would like, we can organize it for you. But Sherpa can get you e-visas online, or you can just go onto our website. We've got a partnership with Sherpa themselves, and you can always go onto our website and use the link from our website.
As does Direct Travel. As you folks may know, I'm Lush Life. I'm a part of Vision Travel in Canada. Vision is associated with Direct Travel. So between Vision and Direct Travel, we work with and beyond throughout the world and have great relationships, which is what I was able to leverage today by pulling Wayne in from Cape Town to talk to us today. Wayne, Canadians, I mentioned Canadians just because of Rwanda, of course. Most people who travel know the history and genocide. Canadians are particularly mindful given the person was from here, the peacekeeper. So it's, it's front and center. The history of that is in a lot of our minds. So thank you. The one other thing I just have about COVID, clients are able to travel and feel safe. You have a lot of safety protocols, and Kenya, Tanzania, they're welcoming Canadians right now. And
yes, so all the countries are open.
And South Africa, of course.
Yeah, all the countries I've spoken about are open. So Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Mozambique, Madagascar, South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, all of them are open. They are welcoming guests. Certain countries that have got different travel restrictions according to the destination. So Canada, as an example, right now has got a level 4 do not travel advisory on Tanzania. But that doesn't mean, in my mind, sorry, I hate to say this, I think the Canadian government is wrong. It is completely and perfectly safe to travel there, but there are realities that creates. Guests will feel more apprehensive and more concerned about potentially traveling there because the government has said that it's a bad idea to travel there. From a safety perspective of COVID-19, honestly, and again, I don't mean to sound flippant, but we are in vastly unpopulated areas. Okay, we're in the African wildlife bush. Yes, you have to go through airports to get there, but remember, a lot of what we do is private transfers, it's private experiences, it's private guides. Yes, you will share vehicles with other guests at times if we have limited number of guests on those vehicles. They're mostly open air vehicles. Planes have got very, very strict protocols. It's very, very, very safe to travel. Can I guarantee that you won't get COVID? Of course not. Nobody can guarantee anything with this horrible thing. But what I can say to you is, if you're vaccinated with all the protocols in place in very sparsely populated areas, the chances of getting COVID are incredibly low, given that you are with staff members who are vaccinated. You are traveling with guests in those lodges who have just had PCR tests before they could get on a plane, meaning that they are negative, while they're traveling. And most guests, a lot of guests are vaccinated too. We know some guests are not vaccinated, but again, the COVID-19 protocols are there to protect everybody, not just vaccinated or unvaccinated. It is there to protect everyone, and they will be stuck to regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not. So just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean we're any less strict. Our staff will always be wearing masks. Our guides will always be wearing masks and offering you hand sanitizer, washing hands. All the protocols that we experience and believe will protect our guests at every time.
Awesome. And your staff you have a vaccination policy for staff and crew?
We don't have a vaccination policy, but all of our staff are choosing
of course, it's
to
Africa,
be vaccinated.
it's different, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is luckily all of our staff are choosing it anyway. They truly believe in doing the right thing, and they also know that they're in a hospitality business. They're exposed to people all the time. They're trying to limit the risk themselves. Everybody's got to remember that all of us are scared of this thing. None of us want to get it, and everybody's trying to exercise as much caution as we possibly can.
Well, we're going to continue to push governments. Canada has made great strides in opening up and removing some of the obstacles to travel. We're currently in a very strange place. As of November 1st, cruise ships can come back to Canada, but Canadians can't go on them. So like, it's one of these strange things that, you know, the rules are changing and morphing. We have this very
So
difficult.
we're welcome to import. So
Yeah,
we're happy to bring,
you know,
we're
but
importing people.
Canadians
won't
aren't supposed to
export.
travel. Yeah. It's bizarre.
Okay.
So things are changing. We currently have a negative PCR test that requires you to be traveled to test negative to come back to Canada. But there's, you know, if we believe in the science and we believe in the data, there's a lot of reasons to not still have that. We just had a question in the chat. I think someone with their camera turned off. That's why don't be dismayed. Not this is not representative of everyone who's here. Mary Lou is asking, can you tell us a bit about your properties in Asia?
Of course. So we've currently got one property that we own, that we are opening, is in Bhutan. It is opening next year, June. For the most part, we don't have any other properties that we own currently. I actually do have a few slides of it. I can quickly see if I can get it for you. Just give me one moment. Let me see if I can find it.
And I think Diane has a question coming up too. So that's great. If you have another 5 minutes, Wayne, are you good?
Yeah, of course. I've
Okay,
got plenty
thank
of
you.
time. I can all the time in the world for you guys. Right, there we go. I can just quickly pop it up. Let me just find the slides for you.
I think I still have you on slides, so share, so you should be able to show it.
All righty, let me just share my screen. There we go. Let me know when you can see my screen. You should see a PowerPoint presentation saying Bhutan on it.
It's currently, oh, there we go. Yes, we have Bhutan.
Yeah.
And now.
Okay. So Bhutan is obviously famous for tigers' nests and the different parts of the world. Obviously, a spectacular wellness country, amazing scenery. Amazing. I'm not a, so just for the record, guys, I'm not an Asia expert. I'm an Africa guy. So I'm teaching you what I'm learning you here, if I'm making sense. It's very, very rich cultural experience. Obviously, the food beverage experience is also fantastic. Different types of diets, different types of experience, different cuisine. One that most guests will really, really enjoy because of its inherent nature and inherent simplicity that is attached to it. Spectacular wildlife, maybe perhaps unbeknownst to many people, but there's an incredible diversity of birding experiences. Trekking and camping is obviously something that is well done and well thought through, and it got some amazing, spectacular scenery, lakes, vistas, fjords, etc. across the country itself. This is our lodge. This is the site of where our lodge is. This is actually the main guest area that's being completed at the moment that you can see on the screen. It's called Pinaka River Lodge. It's in the Pinaka Valley, and this is what it is going to look like when it's completely finished. These are the one-bedroom suites over here, and then these are the two-bedroom suites that are upstairs, downstairs, and then we've got one family villa that is also part of the product itself. That is 3 bedrooms, beautiful lounge areas, dining areas, self-contained units that can also have private butlers and service as and when you need. So that is our lodges that's our lodge in Bhutan. That's the only lodge we currently have that we're busy working through. And our hope is that we will look to expand our portfolio in the Asia area. We used to have lodges in the Tiger area where we partnered with Taj Safaris. Unfortunately, that partnership ended, but we do support Taj as a DMC in the area where we book their properties for our guests wanting to see and experience the tigers in that part of the world. Does that answer your question, Mary Lou?
You're welcome to come on audio if you wish, Mary Lou, or you can type in. It's up to you. Oh, she said yes. Okay, thank you, Wayne. Diane, did you have a question?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My question is, I am interested in doing a safari. I'm quite open and flexible as to where I would like to go. But I travel by myself. So what kind of recommendations would you have for me, being that I am alone traveling?
Well, that very good question. And we get lots of lone travelers coming through and a lot of lady lone travelers too. Sometimes ladies are a little bit concerned security wise around some of the destinations. Obviously, it is a bit foreign. It's not always easy to navigate an area where the English is not the first language. And the signposts are not in English too. So what I can say to you is Africa is an incredibly safe destination to go to because it is so set up for tourism. And as Sheila said earlier, in across the world, 1 in 10 jobs. In Africa, it's 1 in 5 jobs are dependent or are directly related to tourism-related industries. Okay, so as a result of that, tourists are very well thought of and very well looked after. Now, it's like anywhere in the world, and if you go into the wrong places, you can find trouble, okay? But that is why you partner with people like ourselves. We make sure that from the moment you arrive, you've got a guide with you, you've got a meet and greet person with you, you've got your transfer with you, and they will not hold your hand physically, but they will tailor your entire trip and make sure you stay in the right places, that you do the experiences that we believe are going to add value to your trip, that are going to help you learn to sell the destination better. And with any luck, is going to create that once in a lifetime trip and experience for you. So lone travelers are very welcome and are very easy to travel. If you are very concerned, I would say the starter, in inverted commas, destinations would be in Southern Africa, okay, where generally speaking, English is the first language across the board in that part of the world. And in terms of logistics, they are simpler logistics from a first world perspective. They are more developed. Now, that doesn't mean East Africa is something you shouldn't do. In fact, I lived in East Africa for many, many years. And my personal opinion is if you go to East Africa first, it just blows your mind and it makes you want to explore every other part of Africa that you can possibly go. And bear in mind, I'm South African, so I'm inherently biased towards my own country. So when I say that Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda is mind-blowing, and if you had to ask me, Wayne, where should I go first? I would say go there first. Okay, that is one of the easiest sell destinations in there for 2 reasons. One, just about every National Geographic show that you find on television has got a wildebeest and a lion in it. Okay, or they've got a gorilla. So when people walk into your door, they're going to say, well, I want to go see where the wildebeest jump in the river. Okay, and then you can say, great, well, we know that's Kenya and Tanzania. I've been there, and this is how we're going to go. For your first time safari goes, your family goes, Southern Africa is obviously fantastic, and you've got an amazing diversity of experience down there too. So if I was you, I would plan 2 trips, not just one, Diane. I would be nice and flexible. And I would say East Africa first. That is the most adventurous, right? If you feel safe traveling there, trust me, you're going to feel safe traveling everywhere else. Okay, in Africa.
And what would the best time of year be?
Right, best time of year or most affordable? Because those are 2 different questions.
Okay. Yeah, it depends what you want to see.
Yes, exactly. So in my mind, the best time of year is where, especially for our agents, is where affordability meets experience. Okay, you want to get a high season experience at a shoulder season or low season price point. Okay, for our traveling agents wanting to learn. So in East Africa, I usually recommend end of September, beginning of October. Okay, that's generally as the peak season crosses off, but it is still when the wildebeest are jumping in the river and crossing out and entertaining us with their antics. So you want to see the migration. You want to go during a time of year when you don't have that many tourists, when it's easy enough for us to negotiate really good rates for you. Okay, and then on top of that, you also want to see what your guests are going to see in high season, so you know what they're going to expect. Other time of year in East Africa, that's also good, would also be February, March. Okay, now it is not when they're jumping in the river, but it is when the wildebeest are giving birth. Okay, it's also a very nice weather time of year at that point in time. So it's a low season, it's able to get really great rates, it's easy to travel, it's quiet, and you get to see something quite unique. Now in South Africa, the best times of year of travel depend on what is your focus point. Southern Africa. Generally speaking, the best time of year to travel again is the June through to the end of September, but that is when everybody wants to travel. So again, end of September or even May is really good times of the year to try and do your educational type travel, where you want to teach yourself and spend time in those destinations. Very, very good time of year in Southern Africa at that point. The reasons I say that, typically you want to see the Okavango Delta in flood. You ideally want to see when the waters come in and then it recedes. Waters typically come in at the sort of mid-May-ish, sometimes a little bit later, and then they recede by the end of October. It starts getting quite dry and it's very, very hot in that part of the world. The Victoria Falls are at their fullest during that period of time too, as the waters start coming down again through the Zambezi. South Africa, the weather is very stable, either in May or in September, October. In winter, it is cold, okay, but it is the best time to be in the bush. It is one of the worst times to see Cape Town though, because it is the peak of Cape Town's rainy season. So if you can try and avoid that, that's even better. And then, look, the festive season is a fantastic time pretty much everywhere you go, but the festive season is very difficult. So if you do want to travel at the end of the year, the first 2 weeks of December is a good time to travel. It is just before the peak rush. A lot of people are very willing to do deals for us, and it gives you a very good experience as to what the festive season will experience and look like if you're selling the festive season at that time. Does that help?
Wow.
It does. Thank you
just
very
kind
much.
of gave a brain dump there, so quick and so full and so broad. Thank you so much. That was terrific.
No problem.
So talked
No
about
problem. Not my first time at
no,
this
exactly.
rodeo.
It's not your first rodeo, but he's covered migration, low and high season, peak times for cost, and also the heat when the animals are going to disappear versus when they're going to come out. Wayne, thank you. We're 15 minutes over. Thank you, everyone who stuck with us. Those who had to leave, I'll be sending you the full video. I really appreciate you coming in, and especially it's later in Cape Town. I hope you can have a drink and relax, but I do appreciate your time and being so willing to share your passion and enthusiasm with us.
My pleasure. And I truly hope I get to see all of you in person coming to see us in Africa not too soon. Well, sorry, not too far from the future. Please.
That would be awesome.
Come.
Thank you so much, Wayne.
Hope to see you all in my inbox soon. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye. Have a good evening.